So I am being compelled to talk about signs, synchronicities, and angel numbers. And I've usually had like a very well thought out way of how I want to express what I want to talk about in the previous videos I've posted. But this is probably going to be a bit cluttered because I have this really like weird energy around it, and I feel like I need to express it, but it feels a bit like jittery energy around it. But basically, I was someone who was very skeptical about anything spiritual like angel numbers, signs and synchronicities in the past, and then this year has completely changed my perspective on these things. So I believe that you are constantly being communicated to. So when my nana passed out, I really tapped into spiritualism, and I really wanted to know if she would communicate with me. And we had some very strong signs, I think in kind of February and March, that she had been wanting to communicate. We had some like really trippy electrics, which have never happened since, but they happened quite regularly after she went. Sometimes multiple times in a day, she tripped the entire electrics of the house. And it hasn't happened since, and we haven't had anybody fix anything in the house with the electrics. I also had a weird situation when I went to a Premier Inn a few months after my nana passed, where I was kind of starting tarot and getting into tarot, and for the entirety of me kind of doing the tarot, one of the lights in the corner of the room flickered, and then it just didn't for the rest of the night and the rest of the day. The following morning and stuff, I didn't have any issues with the lights, so I just thought that was a bit strange. But I found as I've tapped in more spiritually, I get more and more signs of confirmation, synchronicities and angel numbers. When I first started looking into spiritualism, I was thinking in my head, how am I going to get angel numbers? Where do you see repeating numbers? But since I've tapped in spiritually, I see angel numbers and repeating numbers all of the time. I've also found that sometimes my initials, I will find them, particularly when I'm working on myself. They will pop up out of strange places, find them on a car reg or something like that. And I've had in the last couple of weeks, very specific and probably more and more intense signs. So I'm kind of working on my spiritual growth, and I'm kind of getting confirmations from the spirit guides, universe, people on the other side, that kind of spiritual realm, that I am on the right path, and that they are aligning me onto the right path. So I've seen a lot of magpies, which I know a lot of people will say quite a common bird. Fair enough. And all of these signs you can just listen to and say, I think that's a load of old shit. That's absolutely fine. But I feel compelled to express the signs, synchronicities and angel numbers that I've been experiencing. So that's what this is. So in particular, in the last week, I have had white butterflies, and when I say they followed me everywhere, they have followed me everywhere. They've been outside the window, when I've gone to the park with family, this weekend, it was there. I literally came out of the car and a white butterfly literally flew into my face. I've had it where I've been on the train and I've looked out the window and there's one there and there's no greenery around. It's kind of around the train station. Yeah, I've had them everywhere that I've looked, wherever I've been this weekend. And I also think that they were there as a weird encouragement, because of what happened yesterday, but I'll get onto that in a second. So I've also had I've had some really big spiders over this weekend come into the house. One literally crawled into my bed, but thankfully I wasn't in my bed at the time. And I had one in the bathroom, which I did put on my story a few days ago. And I'm absolutely petrified, particularly of big spiders. But when I did a bit of research, it's all about my divine feminine and coming into my divine feminine energy. So the message is on point. And in the past, I would have completely freaked out about some of these things, these signs and synchronicities, because sometimes the universe is trying to tell you something. And with that feminine energy, with those spiders, it's actually telling me to get out of my comfort zone, tap into my divine feminine and express. even when it feels uncomfortable. And that fear I have around spiders, it was kind of saying, you've lived your life in this place of fear for so long that your default is when fear comes into your life or when something feels a bit scary, you think everything's going wrong, but you actually have to lean into that fear. So I was on my own with the spiders. I had to deal with it. And then yesterday, the biggest sign of divine intervention of all times ever is that I've had my car for 8 years, and it's always been a trusty car. I've loved it, and it's kept going. And yesterday I was driving down the bypass, and it made this horrible noise as I was approaching speeds of 50. And then, I do not exaggerate when I say huge smoke clouds came completely out of the car across all 4 lanes of traffic. The engine literally died with the key still in it. So I had enough time to pull it to the side of the road, and I put my hazards on. The police helped me like push it into a lay-by. The RAC came out. We took it to the garage. The garage have looked at it today, and as predicted, it is dead. Now, in the past, things like that would have completely freaked me out, because I would have thought, how am I going to manage? How am I going to afford a new car? What's going to happen? But what I actually think is divine intervention has happened. I think the divine have been trying to get my attention, and telling me that I'm on the right path. And then what I've been learning spiritually is that when you align to a higher timeline, you have your tower moment where everything else has to kind of crumble and realign, because you're in a higher vibrational state than you were, and things in your immediate environment are now at a lower frequency and vibration. And so sometimes they can't come with you. So a tower moment could look like a breakup. My tower moment kind of looked like this car has served an era of time for you, that those last 8 years, 7 years, it now can't come into this new phase of your life with you. You are now growing and expanding, and it can't come with you. And while I was a little bit petrified about my own health and safety when I was running out of the car, I'm fine. There was no accidents. So that's all good. It was telling me that this is because it cannot come with you, and the universe has stopped this car, has given it its official death card, to say that this is a new era for you. So don't worry about the hows, the whys. And a bit like with the spiders, some of the signs that the universe have given me have been a bit scary or a bit of a shake-up, but I am incredibly grateful for my life. I'm incredibly grateful for the messages that are being sent. I feel like I am divinely protected and connected, and everything is for a purpose. So instead of having the past victim complex like I would, that everything's going wrong, everything is aligning perfectly, and I just have to ride the wave and accept it. So even if you don't believe in angel signs or synchronicities, for me, it's really allowed me to change my state of mind to a much more positive and trusting one. I now trust that the universe has my back, and it will figure things out for me. And every time I see white butterflies, or I see a sign, or sometimes I've asked the universe to give me signs to confirm things, and it has. I've asked it to send me a very specific thing, like show me this in the next 72 hours, for example, and it has done so in creative and innovative ways. But it's allowing me to know that I'm not alone. I'm actually incredibly connected, and there's a lot of people in the spirit world that are kind of geeing me on and really excited for this growth. And I've also weirdly had a lot of kind of tapping in. So when I've been doing manifestations, or I've been meditating, or I've been watching something that's really aligned with kind of what's going on at the moment or how I'm feeling, I've had like very weird physical sensations. So I've had a lot of ear ringing in the last week. And if you are spiritual, ear ringing is confirmation that what you are listening to or what you are doing at that moment is really aligning with your higher self and your purpose. And I also watched a tarot the other day and had like a really intense foot pain in my right foot, really intense, twice during the actual video, and I haven't had any sensation in that foot like that remotely since. It wasn't like a pins on needles, it was a really sharp pain. And again, I think that is kind of confirmation that I'm kind of tapping into my spiritual self a lot more, and so the universe is confirming that back to me. So believe it if you want to believe it, don't if you don't. But I am trusting now that these signs and these things are really kind of beating me over the head at the moment, to show me that I am on this path and that I am being protected. So yeah, if you start seeing anything, I would advise, if you want to start looking for signs, tap in a lot more and be a lot more open. So if you have this energy, I won't see that today, then you're not kind of allowing it to come to you. A lot of these signs I've not asked for, they have come directly to me. And I think the more you're tapped in, the more they'll make it obvious to you, and it will represent different things to you, and it will come into your life in a different way. But if you say to yourself, I'm open to receive signs, the universe will definitely give you some. So watch out for that.